Before I met Lars, I talked to someone who I knew had worked with him, Bryce Dallas Howard, and she only had lovely things to say about him. So when I did press, before I met Lars even, they were like, oh, you ready to work with Lars? And they always have very intense things to say about him. But what I've experienced was a very sensitive, funny person that I truly love as a person. So for me, even though he might like to keep up, these tough illusions, I feel like he's very sensitive and open. He creates an atmosphere and a vibe that's very much him and comes across in the films, and he kind of communicates without words to his actors even. For me, Justine was a very sensitive, creative human being that felt things maybe sometimes more than other people. And to me, her relationship with the planet turns into almost her being a representation of the planet towards the end. And so it almost feels like she has some kind of psychic relationship in the beginning of the film. But I would say that sometimes the world is too much for her. During the wedding, I think Justine really, really wants so badly to be normal and be in love and have this relationship work. And I think that this is the closest thing that she's had to something really working. And she's really, really, I think, wants more than anything for this to work. But I think, her true emotions so overcome, this feeling that she's just fighting against. It just overcomes her and wins. So for me, there's many different things that I go through. I almost get stronger in a way by the end, and in almost a way that is comforting and not comforting, and yeah, almost cold but yet comforting. It's kind of a weird balance by the end of the film, and kind of sometimes when people are depressed, big catastrophes or something bad happening almost wake them out a little bit of their depression, and it takes sometimes something bigger to make them feel alive. So I think that there's something going on in Justine that's like that. To me, it made sense and was beautifully done, and I wouldn't do something like that for every film or every director. It takes a certain artist to I think, communicate that in a way where you feel safe and that it will be used for the right reason and appropriately, and not, I think Lars is someone who is very mindful of that. That's the thing about Lars's films, that people hate them and people love them. It's not really, there's no really muddy water there. So I think that this movie is the kind of movie where you leave the movie theater with friends and you talk about it for hours, which is, that's great when film does that, when film engages you in a new way.